Chapter 26. Sidon joins the quest. When Kenneth got to the village, he didn't know what he was supposed to do from there. I should probably go find Brandon. As he walked down the sandy roads towards Brandon's Inn, he saw a place called Heat Stroke Desert Medical Center. Actually, I should see how Peyton and Petra are doing, quickly. So Kenneth went in, walked to the front counter, and told the lady who he was looking for. She gave him instructions on how to get to them, and he thanked her. Room 15 had 2 beds in it, one in the top left corner, one in the bottom right. The curtains surrounding both beds were pulled back, showing the occupants, Peyton and Petra. Thankfully, Brandon and Sidon were there, seated near Peyton. Brandon was the first to see Kenneth enter, and he stood. "Kenneth, hello. Sidon was just thanking me for what we managed to pull off together. We couldn't have done it without you, so thank you," Brandon said. Kenneth just shrugged off the thanks. "No problem." Then he looked at Sidon. "These two will be sufficiently punished for their crimes, right?" Sidon nodded. "These two will be getting plenty of jail time once their wounds have mended, believe me. They have attempted to destroy all my beloved people and the village at large. They won't go unpunished." Sidon paused for a minute. "I just can't believe I have to leave the village now. Leave my people. Ever since I was my son's age, keeping them safe was everything that kept me going, you know?" Brandon put a hand on his shoulder. "The village will be in good hands. Your son's got it in him. I can feel it. He's a great—" "Whoa, wait. Trevor's taking over as village leader?" Kenneth asked. Sidon itched the back of his neck. He'll learn of it soon enough. I have to leave someone in charge. This is a big responsibility. Once I have joined you on your quest, Trevor will be in charge of making big decisions for the village. I have taught him much of what I know already. I just hope he is ready. He is just a boy after all," Sidon said nervously. "I wouldn't worry about him. He'll do fine. And remember, what you are about to do on our quest is of great importance. You will be trained to harness the powers you inherited as a descendant of Gregory's second eldest. You have a great destiny ahead of you, I assure you," Brandon said. "Great. I suppose we should be leaving as soon as possible. I will gather some supplies I will need for the journey. If you come by my house at 5 p.m. this afternoon, I will be ready," Sidon said. After saying their farewells, Sidon left. Once they were alone, Brandon said, "I hope you'll find it in your heart to forgive Rachel her trespasses. I know her impulses have put our lives in danger on more than one occasion, but we need to keep giving her a chance to prove her worth to us. She will prove herself, and I'm not giving up on her." Brandon got up and walked to the doorway. "And you shouldn't either," he said, then exited. Chapter 27. Rachel's Apology. It had been 1 p.m. when Kenneth had walked back to the village. It was 4 p.m. now, and Cleo began to worry. They needed to be ready for their journey to the Frostlands by nightfall. That meant they needed as much time as possible to gather their things together and be ready the next morning. Cleo had faith that Kenneth would forgive Rachel for what she'd done to him. She just hoped Kenneth wouldn't take too long. Cleo didn't want to teleport out of the desert without Rachel, but there were greater things at stake than just Rachel's freedom. Lord Blazer was at the precipice of returning from the dead, and if Kenneth didn't change his mind about Rachel, they would simply have to continue the quest without her, and hope she fared well until Kenneth had a change of heart. Cleo was still seated next to Rachel, making sure she had plenty of food and water. Rachel sighed after a while. Kenneth's right, she said. Cleo didn't understand. About what? About me being a failure to the group. I thought I could be helpful, but all I've managed to do is weigh you all down. What I did to Kenneth was unacceptable. Maybe I am no better than the common thugs in this desert, Rachel said despairingly. Tears started falling down her cheeks. That's not true. We were put in a difficult position back there, a position that put our lives at risk. Your impulse to protect yourself was natural. You just didn't have time to think about the consequences your actions would have on the people around you. Don't you agree? Cleo asked. Rachel wiped the tears with the back of her hand. No, I don't agree. It doesn't matter the urgency of the situation. I should always think about what's best for all of us, not think of ways to protect myself at the expense of others. Rachel didn't bother hiding the tears anymore. She sobbed. I'm so sorry for what I did to Kenneth, and if I could do it all over again, I would do everything in my power to protect us, not hold you back. I'm so sorry, Rachel sobbed. A minute later, someone stepped out from behind the large rock behind them. It was Kenneth. He looked at Rachel, saw the genuine sorrow in her eyes, and decided he couldn't leave her chained there for another second. He raced forwards and unlocked the chains. You've still got a ways to go to earn my trust, just so you know, Kenneth said. Now come on, we're supposed to meet the village leader in an hour. He'll be ready to go then. So in this chapter, Rachel expresses that she was sorry for doing what she did, and she didn't know that Kenneth was listening in. And so Kenneth heard it and forgave her. Chapter 28. Kenneth roams the streets. Kenneth reflects. Kenneth, Cleo, and Rachel were in the village now and were on their way to Sidon's home. They decided to show up a couple minutes early, make sure his preparations were coming along smoothly. When Kenneth had finished his talk with Brandon and Sidon, he just roamed the streets of the village. He needed time to think about what Brandon had told him. Eventually, he decided that what Brandon was asking of him was ridiculous. Forgive Rachel, let her free. It seemed to him that Brandon didn't believe any form of punishment was necessary to help her understand the consequences of her actions. Brandon believed in continually giving someone chance after chance until they've screwed up your life and made so nothing could ever be the same again, until their mistakes finally got you killed, like Rachel's mistake had almost done to him. So he'd had enough of Brandon's mercy and enough of Cleo's soft heart. He was going to go back to Cleo and Rachel, grab Cleo by the arm, and force her to come back with him to the desert and leave Rachel behind. If she resisted, Kenneth would just hit her until she gave in and came with him. So he left the village and made his way to where Cleo and Rachel were. He was going to come out from behind the large rock, but he overheard them talking, so he listened in for a couple minutes. He'd heard the apology come out of her mouth and the sobs that had followed. It had made him feel like she was actually trying to be a better person. He actually felt like a terrible person for what he'd been just about to do. Leave Rachel in the desert to starve or die of thirst? Beat Cleo for taking care of her? What the hell is wrong with me? He asked himself. And so he'd stepped out, unlocked the chains for Rachel, and now here they were, walking back to Sidon's house. He was going to join them on their quest at last. They just needed to meet Sidon at his house. They were going to be out of the desert soon. Chapter 9: The Water Trials. When Cleo and her friends had got to the house and knocked, Sidon had let them in. They all got seated in the living room. My son was surprised to hear that he would be in charge of the village while I was away, but he has accepted this responsibility thankfully, Sidon said. Excellent. If that is all, I guess we should get out of here. I will teleport Cleo and her friends back to their residential suburb to the south, then take you to the place you will spend the next 5 days training your heart out. I hope you're prepared to give this your all, Brandon said. Cleo was curious where Brandon planned on taking Sidon after he teleported them home. It had to be somewhere that would probably put his water bending to the test. Sidon voiced Cleo's thoughts. Would it be okay if you told me something more specific about this place you're taking me? Where is it, and how's it going to help me? Sidon asked. The Alien Annihilators facility, the one Gregory's children fled from centuries ago. Much of it is designed to train mages in magic that can be used as a defense against aliens. Fortunately for us, there are facilities specifically designed to train water mages to reach their full potential. If you believe in yourself and train hard, you will be most valuable to us in the battle against the Elder Aliens when the time comes, Brandon said. Sidon seemed to approve of Brandon's answer. Whoa, this could actually be fun, Sidon said. I wish it were fun. But no, it is designed to test you to the limit. The trials in the training room go from harmless to deadly. If you have to defend yourself against ravaging flames, don't be too surprised, Brandon cautioned. Sidon's eyes went wide. Wait, are you serious? But Brandon turned to the 3 younger friends. When I send you back home, I need you to get ready immediately. And remember where we're going. Somewhere really cold. Now go. Brandon waved a hand at them, and they turned to the light and were whisked away. Chapter 30: The Mage Training Center. When the 3 friends could feel their feet on the ground once again, they took in their surroundings. Some couches, paintings on the wall, cabinets with DVD boxes in them. It was Cleo's house. Did you see Sidon's face when he heard what Brandon just said? Rachel asked. Ravaging flames? I bet Sidon regrets his decision already, Rachel snickered. He's just not very confident in his skill yet. You've got to start somewhere. Just you wait. Sidon will become an excellent mage, Cleo said, then looked at the time. 5:30 p.m. Kenneth, Rachel, go get ready and be back by 9 p.m. We're going to the Frostlands in the morning, Cleo said. When Brandon and Sidon finally found their feet, they were at the entrance of a long corridor. The left side had 3 doors spread a couple dozen meters from each other. Sidon looked alarmed. Brandon hadn't told him they were leaving immediately after he teleported the 3 younger friends back home. Sidon hurried to the door behind him, afraid of what lay in wait for him in his training room. It was meant to test his powers to the very limit, and he didn't like the sound of that. Brandon stretched forth a hand, and suddenly, Sidon couldn't move his feet. He fell down and hit his nose on the concrete floor. Blood spurted out of his nose, and he clutched at it. Sidon spun onto his back. He held his arms out in fear. Please don't hurt me. I made a terrible mistake coming here. I'm going to die in there. I am nobody. Just shut it. You need to follow through with your end of the bargain. Me and my companions risked our lives capturing those sisters for you. So get up and get in your training room, or I'll drag you there myself, Brandon threatened. Okay, you've won. Just let me move my feet again, Sidon said, and Brandon complied, loosening the magic holding them still. Sidon got up and started walking to the first door on the left. Brandon was close behind him. When Sidon got to the door, he could see the door was the color of the ocean, a dark blue color with waves etched into the metal. There were also words etched on the door. Water Mage Training Room. That door you were just trying to escape through. It leads to a cafeteria room. The AI watching over this training center will ensure you are fed thrice a day. When it announces that it has unlocked the exit, you will be allowed out only to eat your meal. You will go back in immediately and continue your training, Brandon said. Brandon gestured to the doors on the right side of the corridor. The door opposite of your training room is your sleeping quarters. You will only be allowed to stay there at night. After a long day of training, understood? Brandon asked. Sidon nodded. At least I won't starve in here, he thought, but he was still scared that he couldn't handle some of the trials in that room. I know you're scared. I was scared too, way back in the day, but this training is essential to becoming the mage you were meant to become. Please do not think of me as too harsh on you, Brandon said. I can tell you are a good man, Brandon. I am sorry I assumed the worst of you. I thought you wanted to kill me, to be honest, Sidon said. Just remember all the basics of being a waterbender. You'll do fine, even if my AI trainer does throw some challenging trials your way. Sidon took a deep breath. Okay, I am ready. Open the door. Brandon clapped his hands twice, and the door swung open slowly, and just as slowly, Sidon walked inside. Brandon stopped by his office at the Alien Annihilator's headquarters. In it was his desk, some papers scattered about the place, and a fridge. He opened the fridge and looked through it. Some milk, butter, a nearly finished sandwich. Aha, there it is, Brandon said, and pulled out a phial of a very spicy elixir. That's the Alien Annihilators, Book 2, The Mages of Magic, chapters 26 to 30. I hope y'all enjoyed, and goodbye.